Hey everyone, welcome back to the Film Frontline. I'm so excited you're here because today we are talking about one of the absolute jewels in the Apple TV Plus crown. If you haven't been watching Shrinking, honestly, what are you even doing? This show is the ultimate comfort watch that also manages to rip your heart out and stitch it back together in the span of 30 minutes. Season 3 is officially here, and let me tell you, the stakes have never felt more personal. If Season 1 was the grief era, and Season 2 was all about forgiveness, Season 3 is asking the biggest, scariest question of all. What does it actually look like to move forward? Grab your iced coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive deep into why this season might just be the show's masterpiece, and why it might also be the end. We pick up a few months after that season 2 finale, and the vibe has shifted. Our chaotic bestie Jimmy, played by the forever charming Jason Segel, is finally finding his footing. He's still seeing patients, including Lewis, played by the legend Brett Goldstein, but the energy is different. He's not just a grieving widower anymore, he's a man trying to build a future. But the real magic of Shrinking has always been the found family dynamic, and Season 3 doubles down on this. We see this group showing up for each other in the most wholesome ways, from cheering at Alice's soccer games to dealing with the heavy, messy reality of Tia's birthday. There's this one scene involving a Christina Perri song that is going to have you in your feelings, I promise. It highlights that while Jimmy and Alice started this journey broken, they now have a community that acts as their gravity. Can we talk about Harrison Ford for a second? Because honestly, his performance as Paul is some of the best work of his entire career. We know him as the dry, gruff, legendary action star, but in Shrinking, he is doing something so vulnerable. This season, Paul is facing the brutal, unshielded reality of his Parkinson's. It's heavy, but the show never loses its wit. Seeing Paul navigate his declining health while maintaining that signature get off my lawn energy is comedic gold, but it's the quiet moments that kill you. There's a major plot point involving a new character, Jerry, played by the iconic Michael J. Stocks, that forces Paul to make a decision that ripples through the entire season. The chemistry between Jason Segel and Harrison Ford has evolved into this beautiful father-son dynamic that feels so earned. Paul is the anchor that keeps Jimmy from drifting away, and seeing that bond tested is peak television. Now, for my fellow pop culture junkies, Season 3 gives us the reunion we didn't know we needed. Cobie Smulders joins the cast as Sophie, a new love interest for Jimmy. If you're a How I Met Mother fan, seeing Marshall and Robin back together, even as different characters, is such a pinch-me moment. Their dynamic is so refreshing because Sophie isn't a manic pixie dream girl meant to fix Jimmy. She's goofy, she's awkward, and she matches his energy perfectly. But it's not all sunshine because we also meet Jimmy's father, Randy, played by Jeff Daniels. Randy is the total opposite of Paul. He's laid back and charismatic, but he carries this indifference toward the family's grief that causes Jimmy to totally regress. Seeing Jeff Daniels play someone who is essentially a nice guy mask for a toxic parent is such a brilliant casting choice. It adds a layer of psychological depth to Jimmy's character that explains so much about why he is the way he is. Here is where things get interesting and a little sad. Season 3 feels very much like a swan song. The creator, Bill Lawrence, who also gave us Ted Lasso, seems to be following a similar blueprint here. By the second half of the season, every major character is hitting a milestone. Alice is heading off to college, Brian and Charlie are expanding their family with their adopted daughter, and Gabby, played by the brilliant Jessica Williams, is facing a professional crisis that makes her reevaluate her entire career path. The show explores this feeling of being left behind. As everyone else moves forward, Jimmy struggles with the friction of change. In therapy, there's a concept that a patient eventually reaches a plateau where they don't need the training wheels anymore. This season feels like the show is taking the training wheels off. It wraps up storylines so beautifully and poignantly that it almost feels like a season 4 isn't necessary. It leaves us in a place of hope rather than suspense, which is rare for streaming shows these days. Okay, time for my personal take. Honestly, Shrinking Season 3 is a 10 out of 10 for me. And I don't say that lightly. It manages to be a girl boss guide to emotional intelligence. What I love most is how it treats its female characters. Gabby and Liz aren't just sidekicks, they have their own agency and their own fears that have nothing to do with the men in their lives. Liz facing a health scare and Gabby questioning her confidence as a therapist feels so real. The addition of Michael Fox and Jeff Daniels elevates the show into prestige territory, but it never loses that quirky indie comedy heart. If this is the end, it's a perfect exit. It doesn't leave us with cliffhangers, it leaves us with the tools to handle our own messy lives. It's a warm hug of a season, but it's a hug that tells you, okay, you're ready to go out there on your own now. So, what do you think? Are you ready to say goodbye to Jimmy, Paul, and the rest of the gang? Or are you holding out hope for a season 4? And honestly, how amazing is it to see Harrison Ford doing some of his best acting in his 80s? Drop your theories and your favorite Paul quotes in the comments below. I want to hear all your thoughts. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Film Frontline for all your Hollywood updates and deep dives. I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next one.